Impact 2026, our continuing conversation where we talk about all different types of topics, current events, race, religion, whatever is going on out here in the world. As always, we like to remind you that you can type your questions and your comments into the comment section. This is a conversation. So this is not just us talking up here. It's not just me talking up here. If there's something that you want to say, if you agree, you disagree, you have a question, whatever you want to do, just type it into the comment section, whether you're on Facebook or YouTube, and we will address whatever whatever you put up in there. As always, I like to remind people of what else we have going on. On Thursdays at 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, we have Thursday Thirst. That's a weekly Bible study. Please join us for that. It's very good. 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, 7 o'clock p.m. On Sundays at 10 o'clock, we have a time of worship. That is on Facebook, YouTube, and in person at the address that's on your screen. 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, of course. Please join us for that. And then at 7 o'clock on Tuesdays, from 7 to 7:45, we have a time of prayer. Feel free to pray wherever you are. If you are praying sometime between 7 and 7:45, not the whole time, if whatever amount of time you can, you'll be praying with intention. And as always, we have Impact 2026. So we're going to hop right into it. What we have today, just a weird little topic. If you have been anywhere out here on any of these streaming services, whether it's Amazon, Hulu, Netflix, whatever streaming service that you may have been a part of, you would have seen that there are a lot of documentaries. But what has surged is not just regular documentaries where you're talking about, like gorillas in the wild, the life cycle of the ant. But no, the most popular documentaries out there right now are crime documentaries, true crime documentaries. I call them murder documentaries because the majority of them are full of violence and murder. All of that violence is a true crime, but the majority of them have murder. They're about serial killers. They're about people who committed very bad crimes. But the popularity has exploded. They say 41% of people of the population who have watched TV says that they watch a true crime documentary at least once a month, which is crazy. The statistics of some places actually say once a week. I really have a hard time believing that. But 41% of the population are watching these true crime documentaries at least once a month. And it's really big with women. They said that the majority of people who watch these true crime documentaries, 81%, are women. And so it's a really big thing, a really big deal. Now, a lot of people have problems with it. A lot of people sit back and say, well, this isn't good for consumption. What you're doing is you're watching murder. You may be glorifying crimes. You may be glorifying people getting hurt. You are watching these things that are some of the worst moments and times for victims. Sometimes victims are part of these documentaries. Sometimes they're not. And so you're really kind of just exploiting their story or exploiting what's going on. And so what we're going to talk about, similar to we talked about we talk about from time to time about what we're doing in society. And I'm going to relate it back because on Sunday, if you were here or you watched online, you would have seen that on Sunday we talked about when Jesus came and he talked about what goes into your body is not what defiles you, it's what comes out of your heart, comes out of your mouth. But so we're kind of looking at it in that light too. So the question is, are these documentaries bad? Because they're what's coming in our body, and are they affecting what's coming out? And so we got a very astute mind here. We got Chris here.
Astute.
Yeah. So first, before we even get started, I'm gonna ask you up top. Do you watch crime documentaries? Is that something that you enjoy?
I don't, because they make me paranoid. It make me feel like somebody might be plotting on me right now. Mm-hmm. So I don't watch them. I do watch SVU and Law and Order. Those are very entertaining. But the true crimes, I tried the first 48 and I was like, man, if he could do it, if he had done it like this, he might have been able to get away with it. And now, like, I need to stop because now I'm helping them. I'm trying to be an accessory to this crime. So I had to kind of back off of some of these things because I don't know. I can't really get with them, especially with the kind of watching how they're glorifying the crime
Right.
versus kind of, really kind of consoling the victim or trying to help heal the situation. It's like, it's I don't want to say it's not I don't want to say it's sick, and it's entertaining, but I can't really get with it.
Now you brought up a good point because there's a significant difference between law and order. There's a significant difference between some of these, I'm old, so we're going to talk about stuff that I know of. Magnum PI, MacGyver,
Magnum PI. That
Yeah,
went way back to the
Eddie
80s.
Griffin, not Eddie Griffin. What's the one? I forgot it. Anyway, those are the ones I remember from back in the day. There's a significant difference between these stories that are false, maybe based on something true, but not true. And so after you finish it, it's like going to the movies, well, most movies, that was entertaining, even if it was a horror movie. That was entertaining, but I know it was all fake. It's not real. I'm gonna leave that where it is. I was entertained or I was scared or whatever, but I know it's not real. Even like watching monsters and things like that. There's a significant difference between that and the true crime. This is what truly happened. These victims are real, the crimes are real, the death is real, the pain is real, the tears are real, the funeral that you see on there is real. And so they say one of the bad parts of it is it can rise anxiety in people. It can bring distrust amongst people. And it can change your overall behavior. You can watch people like really change how they do. There was this big thing back in the day when we were young about video games. And they were like, oh man, video games will help make you violent. You're out here shooting up, if you're playing shooting games and things like that. Well, for most part, a couple of folks tried to argue that it worked out, but the science is pretty much debunked. But what psychologists and scientists have really came with this true crime is it does change how you move a little bit, or can change how you move a little bit. Especially it makes people a little bit more paranoid. And there's plenty of folks that's paranoid already. And then you try to mix in people who want to do, it's the middle of the night, you're drinking a little bit or doing some other kind of thing that makes you relax, and you're watching this, and now you're super paranoid. It's a situation where you get people in some serious trouble. With all that being said, do you think that overindulging, because what the stats say is that most people, 41% are watching once a month or once a week. Do you think this overindulgence can kind of creep into your life? You don't watch it because it'll give you anxiety, but do you think it can give people anxiety? Like give them a false sense of reality, make them super paranoid?
I think some people are susceptible to that. I don't think people that have, a sound mind would be so distracted by watching First 48 every week. I don't think, but there are some people that if they see this on a regular basis, like some people will like binge watch it and then go out, like watch like 6 or 7 episodes back to back and then go out in the street and now they're turning their head every sound. Like I know I can't say that that's who I am, but it does change the way you walk if you see somebody doing something that ended up leading to a murder. That really kind of changes your perspective on things. But I think the average person won't have an issue. Just like you said with video games. So like if you play Call of Duty all the time, does that make you want to really go out in the streets and shoot everybody up? Or if you play Grand Theft Auto, are you really trying to figure out how you can steal these people's cars? Like, now, I think there's a distinction between reality and entertainment. that most people understand, but there are some that don't.
Well, do you think it's a little different because when you look at video games and you look at those, I mean, it's clearly fake. Those are not real. Whereas you're looking at, you're looking at a documentary about Charles Manson, or you're looking at a documentary about, just a couple of years ago they had these murders in Idaho or Iowa. I can't remember which one they're called. You're looking at stuff that's real. These people were on the news. Some of these trials and things are still going on.
Yeah.
Is it a little different between, all right, it's a video game, everything there is fake. It's made up names, made up people, none of that stuff is real. Versus this happened. Like this happened. And some of these people are still around. And this is not all like 1920s. This is like 2020.
2020, yeah. Yeah, because the Idaho guy that killed the whole house of people. What was that? That was
Yeah,
2023
Yeah.
or 2020. It was 2020.
I think it was right around 2020. And that's one of the number one, it was one of the number one crime documentaries on that thing Netflix just a little while ago. And so you have millions of people watching his story.
And you got the Melendez brothers and their whole trying to get out of their jail sentence after they killed their parent. Like, I don't know, man. We just our society is so entertainment based that there's a genre for everybody. So even for real life murder. And so
we got a comment up here. Why do you think people watch these shows? What does it say about the people who watch these shows? That's a good question. Like, what does it say about somebody who wants to watch murder? You sit here, you go on the Hulu, and you could watch a comedian stand up for an hour and make you feel great. You could watch a mystery show, a suspense mystery show where they're just trying to figure out something, but nobody's dying. And you can kind of get your blood racing a little bit, and that's an hour over here. Or you can watch this show about this person who murdered a bunch of people. That's it. You got these three options, and you're like, ooh, I want to see murder. What does that say about you as a person? Or does it say anything about you?
I don't think it necessarily says anything about the person, but again, like those are entertainment preferences. Like can you say the same thing about music? Like if I prefer to listen to gospel music,
Mm-hmm.
and then I turn around and I throw on some real hard drill rap, does it change like the dynamic of who I am because I look at and listen to two different types of music? It's just, I don't think it says much about the human being what they consume. I think it goes back to what Jesus said. The teacher said, it's more about what comes out of your heart and what comes out of your mind that is the problem. But what you consume does come back out of you. So
yeah, I think you're right. So then that's what it says right here in this comment. What you watch, consume, does impact how you think and may desensitize you in regards to violence. And that's one of the number one things that the psychologist says. It desensitizes. It can desensitize by watching this over and over again. Desensitize you to the violence and the pain, especially not on a daily basis, but to victims. And so if you're seeing victims all the time on television crying and being sad, and then when you get approached with that same situation in real life, it may desensitize you because you've seen it so often and so much. Where you should be shocked and you should be you should feel shocked, great, like very shocked when you see this stuff.
It's surprising. Yeah.
You won't. You see it all the time. It's like somebody who's been in the military and they see a lot of people get killed. And then they come home and then somebody gets killed and they're not affected the same way everybody else is because they've seen it. I've seen it a bunch.
Yeah.
And so where we should have some kind of reaction and should have a certain level of compassion and outrage, we may not have it because we've been watching every single major serial killer for the past 50 years on Netflix every night.
Yeah. And it goes to the overall desensitized nature of being an American right now. Like over the past 10 years, we've seen mass shootings in hospitals,
Yep.
churches,
Yep.
synagogues, schools, movie theaters, grocery stores, places that most people consider safe.
Hmm.
And we'll see it on the news for a night or 2 nights, and then it's back to the next hot topic, and so like those the I guess the magnitude of the violence that we are exposed to does naturally desensitize us. Maybe to the point, maybe, hey, they've been putting these documentaries on for a very long time now. Maybe, maybe the desensitization of America happened after that first school shooting or whatever. Like, because after that first school shooting, I remember like everybody was like, this is terrible.
Hmm.
Okay. Is it Thursday? Does New York Undercover come on tonight? I can't remember. So like it's really like this
Right.
happened. This was terrible, but all right, let's get on to the next thing.
Right, and I think in the comment you're hitting right on what the comments are saying. Like, have you noticed just about every day persons are being killed? It's almost commonplace, and I think that desensitizing may be the reason that we don't do anything. Like as a country, as a society, as a community. Like at the end of the day, you're right. We have school shootings all the time. We don't change any laws for the most part. We
Mhm.
don't change like community activities for the most part. The biggest change that has happened, I think, in your and my lifetime when it comes to crime was 9/11 when they changed all the airports. That was a big deal. That was but yet we had the 9/11 and that was terrible. But we've had school shooting after school shooting after school shooting. We've had, all these types of tragic events. We have people getting shot all the time. Nothing changes. We don't
People
change.
running over, running through parades with their cars.
Right. Yes.
Like,
And we don't really change anything there. So maybe it is being desensitized. Like we see it all the time. In other countries, they don't have this. And when they have, mass shootings and things like that, like it's a big deal. And everybody's surprised. Over here, we're just like,
yeah. But you know what? It does, it takes me back. Like when we were kids, all right, a great man taught me this by the name of Reverend Kenneth Watkins. He said that the world ends for somebody every day.
mm.
And so you just had to be prepared and you have to continue to live your life because their ending doesn't mean your ending.
Mm.
Now, that's not a direct quote, but it was something of that nature.
Right.
But and so that it's like, the everybody's everybody's kind of living in the final days, you know? It's
Right.
just and so it's going to look different for all of us, but that particular thing, whether it's the murder or the shooting or the suicides, all of the violence that's going on around us, we need to we need to acknowledge it, and but we don't need to. We have to continue to push on and keep on believing and keep on following the path that God has laid before us. And
Mm.
so that's more to the nature of what Pastor Watkins was taught us. But and so we're gonna see these things, because we live in a sick world, man. Like America is mentally sick because of the historic nature of how this country was created and the fact that it's never truly reconciled all of the demonic behaviors that had to happen in order for America to be the way it is now.
Right.
So some of this, I think, is just these are some of the symptoms of, the genocide. It's the symptoms of the brutal slave trade. It's symptoms of the acquisition of millions of acres of land from Mexico and all of the wars that were started, and the fact that they created all of these systems just to protect the integrity of a very foul and corrupt system. And
Mhm.
so the violence is it's part of what we are. I mean, the Second Amendment of the United States Constitution isn't everybody's created equal. It's everybody deserves to have a gun. Right. Yeah, you can say whatever you want and you can carry a gun. And the equality, and crazy, the equality amendments don't even come until 14.
Right. Yeah.
And so it shows you what the priorities are here.
Mhm.
And
And
but
what's- yeah.
but that doesn't change it doesn't change the nature of a believer.
Mhm.
It changes the environment, but not the
Right.
nature, you know?
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Oh, another comment. We will all die. However, we don't need to help the process
Yeah.
for ourselves or others. Absolutely. I agree.
Yeah.
We might need to assist the process. And now, I don't want to just bash on these documentaries. I will
And I
say
don't want to die.
this. No.
Yeah.
But look, I'll say this about documentaries as well. So let's talk about the good side. 81%, like I said, 81% of the documentaries are watched by women. Now, some of them say it prepares them. It opens up their eyes, especially young women, to some situations or some things that they may not have been looking for prior to. For example, a lot of these documentaries, they talk about, how people were abducted because they dropped things into their drinks, or it puts them on notice where, if you see a guy at multiple locations, maybe you need to make sure you check it for him because he may be trying to stalk you or different things like that. It opens up their eyes to things and makes them prepared. And so that was some of the testimonies given by these women. Now it may have been, you know, excuses for why they like this stuff, but at the end of the day, it does say that some of these documentaries prepare you. So, I mean, you're a father, of girls, or young women, I'll say.
They are
Um,
young women. Yes.
do you think that maybe some of that is true? That maybe you sit back and you're like, you know what, maybe young women do need to see some of this stuff so they can be prepared. Like, it is. I don't want you to get addicted where it's that's all you want to watch, but maybe you should be a little bit more instead of watching that comedy show every single time like I would choose. Maybe you do need to catch a documentary or two just to make sure that you on your P's and Q's and you don't think it's all sweet out
Well, I mean, it's funny because that we're having this conversation because my youngest daughter is a fan of these crime shows.
here.
She likes prison and crime shows. So
Mhm.
like that's one of the things she watches. So,
Yeah.
but she's terrified to go outside by herself. And so that's just and she's and part of that is maturity and her upbringing, but you know I think she's so aware that it makes her say, nah, these people are crazy. I don't even want to risk it. Let me go
Yeah.
ahead. I'll DoorDash my food. I don't need to.
Yeah.
I'll pay the extra $25-$30 for them to bring it to me
Mhm.
versus going to get it. And I do think that has made her wiser. But I guess, goes back to the point I said before. It makes her more anxious,
Mhm.
especially when there are a lot more people around. So, she really doesn't know people. So she kind of gets when she doesn't know anybody and she's by herself, you best believe she's getting out of there quick.
Yeah, and that's the thing. You
Yeah.
want people to be ready and protect their life, but you also don't want them to be so protective of it that they don't get to live their life. You got to
Right.
find that balance there. And so, yeah, now my wife is the same way. She loves those prison shows and these documentaries as well. She watches those as well. Um, and so, yeah, I mean, but I guess, there are some good points to them and some good sides to them. I
I
guess.
mean, the way they catch them, I think is fascinating. Like I like, okay, oh, I would have never thought of that. So like the actual detective work and
Right.
actually, retracing the steps and finding out how, but it's I can't really get into it because I know it's real. I like to watch stuff that I know ain't real. So let's watch the NCIS. Like,
Right.
you know what I'm saying? So let me watch the fantastic version of the same thing.
Right.
Yeah.
There we go. Let me watch the actors do it.
Yeah.
And I would say this: if you, for me, and this is just me, everybody, if you find yourself rooting for the person to get away, like who did the crime, that's when you want to sit back and be like, well, maybe I need to stop watching these shows because I know good and well I've seen the show. I've seen that first 48 one time, and I was like, I hope this dude gets away because I don't believe, I just don't want to get, sometimes I get a little bit into young black dude. I want to get away because the system is corrupt. Like I don't even know what the crime was. I don't even think I even came in on the show.
I always cheer for the
I don't
black
even know
man.
what the crime was. I just know there were these people trying to get him, and they was of a different race, and it was a young black man, and I was like, oh, we get away. And so I think sometimes when you get into that mode or in that where you're rooting for the person who committed the crime, or you may have interest in that, that's when you may want to stop. That's my little 2 cents. I don't know how you feel about that, but
Hey man, like
you
hey man, if it's entertaining, it's entertainment. I like cheering for the underdog too.
know.
And like knowing he gonna get caught though, but like man, you gonna get caught, bro. Let me see. And I'll be like, dang, brother, if you just didn't do, man, why you go there, man? You could have been straight.
Yeah.
So yeah, man, I guess I understand how people can get into them. So
Yeah.
I understand the nature of it.
I kind of see it. It's kind of like, back in the day when we were young, you go to your aunt or your grandma's house and they got something on TV. It don't matter what it is. At first you don't like it, but then you've been sitting at their house for like an hour, or the barbershop or the beauty salon waiting on your mom or something like that. You've been sitting there and all of a sudden now you're into the show. So it's easy to get you caught and get you into these things.
Right.
But another comment. So these documentaries are educating us on how we can be killed. Maybe we need to concentrate on how we can change the mindset of persons who don't value life.
Mm.
Prisons, for example, are good at punishment, not so good at rehabilitation. Yeah. Well, that's a good point. I would say this to everybody who likes crime shows, and that's not me. Unfortunately, I'm not into them. I think sometimes you got to discipline yourself, and I had to do this with sports. I say, for every time I watch sports, I'm gonna make sure that I watch something, news and informative or educational. So I'm gonna pair that. I'm gonna make sure. Look, I don't watch too many games in a row. I haven't watched anything educational. Tomorrow night, if it's Sunday is football and Monday is football, well, Tuesday, if I'm gonna watch some TV, I'm gonna make sure I watch something that's gonna be for my brain. And so, if you got to watch a documentary, maybe you watching your crime documentaries 3 days a week, but you say, all right, if I watch it 3 days a week, then on the fourth day, we'll watch Eyes on the Prize. On the fourth day, we'll watch something, something about us, or that's going to be positive. What do you think about that idea? Kind of like focusing in yourself to make sure for every negative I do, like science, for every negative, I need to put it in a positive.
Nah, I'm gonna watch the game, and then I'm gonna watch the game, man, and then if it's a good commercial come on, I'll laugh at that, enjoy that, and yeah, nah. I think the whole point of watching TV is to watch stuff that's not real, to kind of escape, and the sports, even though it's reality, it's not. It's reality and fantasy at the same time. The games are really being paid, but it's kind of an escape. That's what the television is an escape from reality. It's an opportunity to kind of leave where you are and get in tune with what's happening on the screen. And so, if you want to watch a life cycle of the ant documentary, enjoy that. I'm gonna watch the Chiefs play and enjoy that game,
Yeah.
and then afterwards maybe catch an episode of SVU,
Yeah.
and then I'm gonna go to sleep and get ready for my job tomorrow. So,
Right.
and everybody gets an escape like that. I don't think we can necessarily say it's something wrong with people that watch certain or entertained by certain things, you know. But back to the point though, I do think that balancing out your intake of violence and you know that kind of harmful media, you need to balance it out. And I was kind of joking when I talk about the game, but I do have a, you know, I have a devoted, you know, meditation and study routine that I do every day. So,
Mhm.
you know, and everybody doesn't have that. Everybody doesn't attend, you know, um a church or a organization or functions that, you know, help to promote their spiritual well-being and their emotional, you know, well-being. So I guess I'm different because, and you know you're different too, because you're already kind of in tune with, you know, this, with the spirit of God and the the spiritual nature of life
Mhm.
in a way that most people that consume media, social media, television, most people don't believe the same way we do. So that balance is something that they need to find.
That's
But it
I,
shows up in other aspects of their life, I'm sure. So like I'm sure, you know, the TV is the consumption, but it comes out in other ways.
I think that's a good point, and I think, and I'll say this because we're at our time. I think there's a little bit
Damn,
of
okay.
maturity that you kind of have um, to know whether or not it's affecting your life.
Hmm.
I'm gonna talk for me, and I'm gonna talk for a bunch of black people. I know for a fact that when it's me and a lot of people that I know, that if you watch a lot of historical black slave overcoming the situation type documentaries or shows, um, it'll change. You go to work the next day, it's gonna change how you move around people of other races.
Yeah.
Not permanently, but you keep watching it every day. You gonna talk to them a little different. You gonna look at it a little bit. It changes you. And so, I know for myself there is a healthy level and there is an unhealthy level. You know what I'm saying? Like I can't watch if I decided, like I said, if I want to watch Eyes on the Prize, then I watch Roots after that, then I watch Queen after that, then I watch Color Purple after that, then I come back here and watch Rosewood, and then I go to work the next day. Somebody might get punched in the face.
Yeah. And then you're
So
gonna be on first 48.
exactly. So I think there's a little bit of maturity that you got to look at yourself and look at how you roll. And if there is a little bit more aggression or a little bit more paranoia or a little bit more scaredness that's going on in your life, you got to look at what am I consuming? What am I bringing in? And
Yeah.
you got to be mature enough to know, like, hey man, I went too pro-black last night, and now it's a problem. And so I think that, and you can let me know if I'm wrong. And then, like I said, we'll pass the time. Let me know if I'm wrong. Is it your kind of a little bit of your personal responsibility and your close friends or your wife or your significant other or whatever? It's upon yourself and them to kind of look at you. And if you see some weird stuff going on, you got to kind of look at like, well, what am I doing? Is there something that's affecting my life? Am I consuming something that's bad or too much?
I mean, hopefully you got people around you that, you know, like, you know, if you OD on the Black Power stuff and you get to work and you start acting stupid, like you like, oh, this is what we doing? All right. If you go into that with that attitude, you know, it's good to have people around you and be like, hey man, you got to chill. And so, but I think it's a personal responsibility. You got to have people around you that can help kind of monitor you and help you check yourself.
Yeah.
But it's a self. It's hilarious because I think I'm going to use that excuse one day. Like, hey, listen, look, I watched Malcolm X and the original and the Black Panther documentary. I can't come to school today because if a white kid says something wrong, I might just snap. So I can't. I'm gonna use that excuse. Yeah, like, look, I OD'd on Black Power stuff last night. I can't do this.
I love it.
That is hilarious, man.
It's real though. I tell you, that stuff does. It does. It changes a little bit. You know, not a lot, but it changes. But all right, we're at our time. As always, I want to remind people again on Thursday, 7 o'clock, we have our weekly Bible study, Thursday Thirst. On Sundays, 10 o'clock, we have service, Facebook, YouTube, and in person if you're in the area. And then on Tuesdays from 7 to 7:45, we have a time of prayer. Please join us for any and all of those. Chris, thank you again for joining us. Thank you, everyone, for your questions. And please feel free to join us again.
Sometimes you'll want